Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Plan Your Greatness. You know, I saw something the other day, and I think somebody, don't stare at the camera. All right, I'm not gonna stare at the camera. All right, but Plan Your Greatness. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton. Let me get settled here. Make sure my microphone is okay. All right, we're going to get right to it. First of all, we always do the weigh-in. I will be honest, I did not do a weigh-in today. Didn't work out with my daughter. I had some stuff busy, but last time that I was on the scale, I was right around 250. All right, so I'm hanging in there. My home office gets so hot because I have to turn off the air. I have to turn off the refrigerator in here and no fan. So we don't have any background noise. But all right, let's get right to it because I got to run out the door. I got some other stuff I need to take care of. All right. This is the series. This is the 9 Pillars of Success series. This isn't in the book. This is chapter 11. In that chapter, we talk specifically and we break down the 9 pillars of success. We've already broke down, I believe, 3 of them already. We're on number 4. So quickly, I'm going to go down the list. Number 1 is show up and show out. Number 2 is stop lying to yourself. Number 3 is make sure that you give every goal a deadline, a very hard, specific deadline. Number 4 is one we're going to do today is no excuses. Number 5 is master the gift of you. Number 6 is no plan B. Number 7 is trust your mind's eye. Number 8 is don't be afraid to fail. And number 9 is maximize the day the night before. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get right on top of this. And we are going to be talking about no excuses. But first of all, as I do in each one of them, in order for you to set up and be able to utilize the 9 pillars of success, you must have asked and answered the 3 questions. What do I want? Why do I want them? And can you see in your mind, can you see yourself completing that goal that you have? Now, once you ask yourself that question, this is going to start a chain reaction of stuff. You're going to start changing daily behaviors. Those daily behaviors are going to turn into habits. Those habits are going to turn into skills. Those skills are going to turn into knowledge. That knowledge is going to turn into execution. That execution is going to change and create a whole new character. And then that character is going to create a whole new future. It will absolutely change your life. All right. So once you have done that, now what do? You now have something for the 9 pillars of success to support. You can take one of them. It will change your life. If you apply all 9 of them, now I think you'll probably make an impact on the world. But again, now you have something to support the 9. You have something that the 9 pillars can support. What's interesting in that, and we'll quickly move through this, is that when you do that and you set this in motion, you are now bringing into existence a very strong faith, a belief. Your self-talk is different. From that self-talk, you now have focus. That focus gives you direction. Those direction forces you to make plans. When you start making plans, you move out of the realm. When I was talking about this before, when I was homeless, I was a tool for others. When you move into this area, you are now a tool for yourself and you are now utilizing others. Now, that is where you can now sit on top of the 9 pillars of success or wisdom. You can sit those 3 questions and all the things that you've created. Now, all right. So now let's get started. No excuses. I was reading something by Les Brown. Not reading, actually, I was listening to a video by Les Brown and he was quoting someone else. And what he stated was that if you argue for your limitations, or basically you are defending your excuses, you get to keep them. Because think about it. There is nobody that's going to want to take away the excuses or the limitations that you have and adopt them themselves. The only person that I can actually think of, because I have children, would be that if my children are going through something very painful, I've lived a full life already. I would gladly trade places with them. I'll take on their limitations. Like if I was, if one of my children was born without an arm or something like that, I said I will gladly change places in that. Other than that, nobody's stepping up to take on your limitations or your excuses. All right. Now, where that typically comes from is the pre-programming. And I know specifically with me, the pre-programming that I had to endure was the home that I grew up in, the father that I had, and a couple other things. I was the seventh child of 9. So there were some things that went along with that. And if you continue to do that, and I'll bring up something later on as far as when I was in prison, but if you continue to do that, you are now creating generational mediocrity. All right. Now, this is the example that came to light when I was locked up in prison. If you can articulate where you are and how you got there, and I found this amazing. While I was locked up in prison, I would just go around and start asking individuals, how'd you get here? I wouldn't ask you what your crime. That's a no-no. You don't ask people, what did you do? Or did you do it? Or no, you can ask, like, how'd you get here? So that's what I was searching for. I was searching for a mental path. Could you tell me, could you articulate how you got here? And I was absolutely blown away by the amount of articulation these inmates had and how they got to where they are. And so what that made me realize was that if you can articulate your condition, what you have done, you have now adapted to it. Okay, you've adapted to the excuses, to the things that got you to where you are right now. And Charles Darwin, in his book, people know him as far as The Origin of Species and Survival of the Fittest. Well, if you look more specifically at that research, he basically said the species that actually survived and evolved were the ones that adapted. Now you play that back, so you can understand exactly what I'm saying. So now I apply that to now, is that if you are going to move to the next level, you need to be able to adapt. If you don't adapt, Charles Darwin did in his research, you die. You don't evolve. If you don't adapt, you die. All right. Now, what's really important in that whole process, as far as if you don't adapt, or evolve, you end up dying, is problem solving. If you're not a problem solver, you get moved out of the way. Especially right now with the advances of technology. If you're not somebody solving problems, you're going to just end up being a tool. If you're a problem solver, you are now carving out a place that has you in demand. All right. When you do that, when you start being a problem solver, you're able to set goals because you're able to do things that solve problems. And so it actually creates a need for you. All right. So you're able to set goals. You're able to make plans. You're able to talk greatness. Planning your greatness is being able to be a problem solver. Now, one of the things that I noticed when I was in prison, and one of the books that I read, and I got it right here. This is called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Now, if you're not familiar with that book, I'm going to give you a short little synopsis. This guy had a doctorate in psychology, but he was Jewish in Germany. So he ended up being caught up in the concentration camps. And as he was observing people, he noticed people were doing two things. The people that survived were the ones that actually embraced where they were and tried to make the best out of it. He said the people that actually ended up dying or just didn't last were the ones actually spending way too much time in their past, their memory, or spending way too much time in their future, their imagination. Not coming right now. What he deemed, he said they were minimizing the present. And I completely understand that, because there were times when I was in prison where I just completely immersed myself in my past. Professional baseball, women, money, all that stuff, travel. Beautiful. All of a sudden, then I go into the future. Well, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to get a college degree and all those things. The most painful thing I had to do was come to the present, because you know why? Okay. You know why? The present sucked because I was in prison. All right. So but you have to embrace that in order for you to move forward. And he pointed that out in his book, is that people were minimizing the present. All right. Now, one of the things that I had to do is that after I was spending time in my past, spending time in the future, but trying to address it by becoming smarter every day, was that when I got out of prison, one of the things I did, I tried to hit the ground running. Boom. I got out, I got enrolled in school. Boom. After a year at the community college, boom, I transferred over to the university. Boom. 3 years at the university, boom, I was out in the world with this degree, trying to work in the corporate world. Okay, that didn't work out. Then I went ahead and started a business. Got that up and rolling a couple of years, started another business. All right, boom, I'm doing this and I'm all over the place. Now, as all that stuff was going on, I came across my journal. And as I came across my journal, I pumped the brakes, because that was the first time that I actually started looking at what I had just gone through. And in the military, that's called debriefing. You've got people that are going off to war, very traumatic situations, and then they're coming back to normal life, and the military has to debrief them, because you just went through something that was life-changing, life-altering. You saw some stuff that the average person never sees except on the movie screen. That was what had happened to me. And so what I was actually able to do was, as I was reading through my journal and I started editing it, because then I said, there's a bunch of good material in here that I want to actually share with other people and show my transformation. I was laughing. I was crying. I was smiling. And what I did was I took a moment. I took a brief moment and I said, you know what, Carlton? I'm proud of you. Do you know what you just went through? Do you know what you just went through? You can add up everything that I went through, and I challenge you to go find somebody that went through everything I went through. You're talking about childhood, abusive, special ed, barely getting through high school, playing professional sports, after professional sports, going through depression. That whole bout of depression caused me to get involved in an armed robbery, going to prison, rewiring myself, recognizing the depression I had gone through, no medication, coming out, getting a degree, going into the corporate world, going out on my own on a business, writing a couple of books. Now I'm a motivational speaker, author, dad, a lot of things. Okay. Name me somebody that you can point to this, but other than myself, name me somebody that actually can show you that. And I just gave you the bullet points. I didn't give you the minutia, the details along that journey. So I had to take a moment and say, you know what? You're a badass dude. You are really a badass dude. All right. So I did that. And you have to take a moment to do that. However, you then need to come back to the present and say, I still need to continue to grind. All right. So after I did that, it was some things that I remembered that I stood on when I was in prison. And I said, I want to stand on these two things. I wanted to be honest and I want to speak my mind. And because I did that, I began the whole process of counseling myself. And changing the self-talk. I talked about that. Recognizing and overcoming the depression, building the confidence, being myself, being honest, because I was in prison for 1,241 days. And people are always talking about what they will do faced with the situation. Now, that was very much self-imposed. It wasn't somebody busted in my house and I had to react, quickly. It was self-imposed over a period of time, but here I am in prison. And in one instance, I'll tell you a couple of stories. All right. There was one instance where I got into a fight over television. All right. Guys playing cards. I'm watching TV. He's shifting the channels. And I said, hey, you either going to watch TV or you're going to play cards. All right. So the guy, let me see if it's 10. Okay. So the guy goes and changes the channel back. I change it back. It went back and forth for a few times. And the last time that he actually grabbed that knob and changed the channel, I punched him in the mouth. Not with this hand. It's my right hand. Hit him with my left hand. He staggers, and I think real quick, oh, I better do something. So boom, boom, 2 more, drops down. Nothing happened out of that. You know, it was such an isolated television. Anyway, just to throw that quick story out of there is that you never know what you're going to do under circumstances. The other situation was that I was confronted and told that if I didn't conform, I needed to move from the yard. And I told them I'm not conforming. And if y'all need to bring somebody in the room, so be it. There's going to be some furniture being moved around here. And what I'm getting at is each one of those instances, I was afraid, but I moved anyway. The last one was I was asked to go stab somebody. Think about that. I was asked to go take someone else's life. I can't really say really why I was chosen. I don't know. The guy who asked me to do that, he looked exactly like you would picture somebody in prison. He was about 6'5", probably 300 pounds. He used to play football, I believe, at University of Virginia. I'm not going to say his name, but all I know is he was massively big. And it took everything in my power to just say, no, I'm not going to do that. But what I'm getting at with that is that you don't make excuses. I didn't make excuses once I got into prison and I really just said, hey, this is where I'm at. No more excuses. All right. So that's the theme of this one. No more excuses. Just a couple of little side stories. But again, you never know what you're going to do, because what I was actually working on was what Lisa Nichols said. One of the things that got me in prison, but I had to change that idea, is that when you are making excuses, she said these 4 things come up. You are either trying to hide something, protect something, prove something, or defend something. And in most cases, mine was trying to prove something. So now I'm in prison. There's nothing for me to do. I'm open. So at that point, I woke up as what she said. You wake up every day saying, I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to protect. I have nothing to prove, and I have nothing to defend. So at that point, I'm going, what am I going to show to the world from that point? So that's where I was in that point. So now, as I've learned as far as excuses, like with the theme it is, no excuses. Excuses are this. This is what I've learned. Okay. Excuses create procrastination, which means no action. And I say excuses or procrastination is premeditated excuses. That's all it is. You're dragging your feet doing something. And then, well, if I had started to do it sooner or blah, this, that, and the other, I would have gotten it done. See, just take action. Okay. When you're making excuses, like I said, they create procrastination, and procrastination are premeditated excuses. All right. Excuses match our intelligence. And this is one of the other things that I knew. When you start making excuses, your excuses will match your intelligence. Smarter you are, the more articulate you are going to be about your excuses. When you're very simple in your thinking and your intelligence level, your excuses are going to be simple. They may speak on something very complicated, but you're going to articulate them in a very simple way. Well, I can't do it because of this. The articulation would give all the reasons and the research and all that other bullshit why you're not doing it. Okay. So I always look at that. The smarter you are, the more articulate your excuses are. It's all bad. All right. With that said, we are going to bring this to a close. All right. We're going to bring this to a close. Solutions are within the obstacle. There is a great book out there by Ryan Holiday called The Obstacle is the Way. Basically, he took that from Marcus Aurelius. I think he's a Greek philosopher, or he was a leader at some particular time. I'll have to maybe put that in the notes as far as where he got that from. But the understanding in his thinking is that When you have a challenge, an obstacle, if you look at it hard enough, you will see the solution right in it. That's why Ryan came up with the title, The Obstacle is the Way, because excuses have you turning away from your obstacle as opposed to looking right at it and seeing that if I look right at it long enough, I'm probably going to be able to extract the solution out of it. So I said solutions are right in the obstacle. All right. So as we are closing, here's my challenge to you, as I do during this series. Ask and answer yourself the 3 questions. Now, after you ask and answer yourself the 3 questions, go about the business of laying the foundation, which if you roll back at the very beginning of this video, you'll hear the foundation as far as the daily habits, the behaviors, the habits, the skills, the knowledge, the execution, character, destiny, the future. Okay. You lay that out. Answer yourself the questions, get in the business of getting that together. Then what you want to do is pick one of these. Show up and show out. Stop lying to yourself. Give all your goals a hard deadline. No more excuses. Pick one of those. There's going to be a bunch of them that we're going to go over a little bit later on, but pick one of those and get yourself moving. All right. This is Carlton Hamilton. This is Plan Your Greatness. Like this video, like this channel, share this video, share this channel, subscribe to this video, subscribe to this channel. There's going to be better content later on. Videos are going to get better as I get better. Again, plan your greatness because nobody else will. All right. I will see you all soon.